Hello everyone, it's Richard here, and today in this video we're going to be looking at mold making and using 3D printing and thermoplastic elastomers to produce molds so you can create things like soaps and candles, all customized to whatever you need. So just before Christmas I was thinking back to my childhood and growing up and wondering what sort of things I should give some of my friends that had a little bit of a maker touch and possibly use 3D printing as well. So I came to thinking when I was growing up, it was quite a lot of influence with Star Wars, and because of the new Star Wars film, The Force Awakens, I thought it would be fun to produce something based on that series. So the other thing that was a real feature for me when I was growing up was every year I would get a few strange gifts that only really looking back now I can appreciate that they were useful and fun and a real reminder of my childhood. And one of them was a Soap-on-a-Rope. So I don't know if anyone else remembers Soap-on-a-Rope, but basically I used to get these and they were very common around Christmas time. And used to get these and they were in all various different shapes. They didn't have much detail on, and as soon as you used them they pretty much started wearing away, so they just ended up with a big blob of soap on a rope. But it was quite fun, so I decided why not have a go at producing a mold so I could cast some soap in the shape of a Death Star. And that's what we got here. So how did I do that? Okay, so it's not actually that difficult. You can use a number of different methods to produce your mold, but because most STL files, 3D generated computer files that you use for 3D printing, are actually just a hollow shell, as long as that shell is of good quality and what they call manifold, which means it doesn't have any intersecting triangles to stop it from being processed and worked, you can run that STL file through a script, and there's quite a few out there, and there's a really good one. There's an OpenSCAD script that allows you to put a object in and it produces you a negative pattern, so you can actually use that to cast things like candles and soaps and chocolate and all sorts of other things. So that's exactly what I did. I got a generic model of the Death Star off of one of the sharing sites, and I had to do quite a bit to actually make this model work. So this model had quite a few errors on it and it wouldn't run through the SCAD script to start with. So I had to fix a few holes, create a watertight mesh that could actually work. As soon as I'd done that, it was very plain sailing, straightforward to actually produce the mold. And with a few parameters, you have to set a few sizes and where you want these little aligning dimples to align. You can actually produce a round mold, square mold, different types of molds. Then you can print them out using different 3D printing materials. I would certainly recommend using a flexible material. I use Filaflex for this because I've been doing quite a bit of flexible 3D printing with Filaflex, and producing molds for all sorts of things is one of its real strengths. The other great thing about Filaflex is that things like soap and candle wax and chocolate don't stick to it. They do mold to all its features, but when you try to remove them, they're not welded in. And if you try to make a mold out of PLA and put chocolate in, for example, it's a complete disaster. You can't really get it out at all. It just all falls apart and it sticks to the PLA. You can make molds out of ABS, but I wouldn't recommend it. ABS is not a fantastic material, especially as it's gone through a 3D printer. So I'm still a little bit nervous about using Filaflex for food-based products, but I'll go on to that in the next video. This one, because it's soap-based or candle wax or anything like that, is fairly straightforward to actually just produce a mold and then do the casting. So that's all I did really. And I've some of the other ones I've done, you might have seen in another video, I've done some snowflake molds, again for soaps and that sort of thing. So we've got one here that I haven't actually opened yet. I can't even remember what colour I did it, so I did this one just before Christmas. I made quite a lot of these for various friends who would appreciate the fact that they would remind them that a soap on a rope was a thing from their childhood. They usually got at Christmas, and also because of the Force Awakens Star Wars film. It was actually really nice to give those as presents. So we'll open this one up. I've got some just tape around it just to hold it shut, and I used a little pin just to hold the rope coming out the top. In the SCAD script you can specify how big you want the pouring hole and where you want it to come from. So if we just pull this one off, oh, there we go, that's not too bad. Ah, okay, so we've got a blue Death Star in this one. I think I might have even created, it might even be a different colour underneath, let's see. So you can hear it, that it sort of pulls nicely out. Seems to stick a little bit more at the bottom. I think that's probably because the soap was a little hotter when I first poured it. Okay, so that one is, yeah, that was a experiment of using clear soaps and opaque soaps. So I've got a little bit of opaque in the bottom there and a little bit more clear on the top. But as you can see, it produces you a very nice Death Star that you can wash with. So the Force can be with you and help wash you. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. I hope you give it a go. See you next time.